All right, today we're going to talk about a tool that honestly feels like a superpower for anyone trying to manage a project. It's called the Work Breakdown Structure, or WBS for short, and it's all about bringing order to chaos. You know the feeling, right? You're on a project and it's just messy. No one's totally sure who's doing what. The finish line seems to move every other day, and you're just drowning in confusion. It's stressful, it's a huge waste of time, and it's a recipe for disaster. And that chaos, it always leads to the same old project nightmares. You've got scope creep, where new must-have features pop up out of nowhere. Deadlines start to feel more like suggestions. And the budget? Poof, gone. But what if I told you there's a better way? A straightforward visual tool to prevent all of this. And that's exactly where the Work Breakdown Structure steps in. This is the tool that takes you from that tangled mess of a project to a crystal clear, actionable plan. Okay, so there's the official kind of dry definition, a hierarchical decomposition. I know it sounds super academic, but stick with me because the idea behind these fancy words is actually simple and incredibly powerful. Let's translate this into plain English. The best way to think about a WBS is as a blueprint for your project. Seriously, it's a map that shows you everything. You start with this one giant goal, and you just break it down layer by layer into smaller and smaller pieces until everything is totally manageable. And here's the really important part. It focuses on the what, the actual things you need to create, not the who. It's all about the work, not the people. Now, if you only take one thing away from our chat today, let it be this, the 100% rule. This is the golden rule, the absolute core principle that makes the entire WBS system actually work. This number, 100%, this is what keeps your project honest. It ensures your plan is totally complete, nothing gets left out, and just as important, nothing extra gets snuck in. So what does that actually mean? It's simple, really. You take any piece of your project, let's call it the parent, and all the smaller pieces underneath it, the children, have to add up to exactly 100% of that parent's work. This does two amazing things. It guarantees you haven't forgotten anything, and it stops out-of-scope work from creeping in. Okay, let's make this real. Let's say our main project, the parent, is to build a website. That's 100% of the job. Now we break that down into its two main parts, its children, design and development. If we figure out the design work is, say, 40% of the total effort, then the development must be the other 60%. See? 40 plus 60 equals 100. It's a perfect, complete picture of the work. So what does this blueprint actually look like when you build it? Let's dive into its anatomy. Understanding these different levels is the key to making it work. Right at the top, you've got level 1. This is the big one, the whole shebang. It's the final goal, the end product. In our example, it was build a website. Then you go one level down to level 2. These are the major deliverables, the main chunks of work that make up the final product. For a car, it might be the engine, the chassis, the interior. For a website, it was design and development. You keep breaking things down further and further until you hit the most important part, the work package. This is the lowest, most detailed level of your WBS. A work package is basically a bite-sized chunk of work that's small enough to easily assign to someone, put a cost and timeline on it, and track it. This, right here, is where the rubber meets the road. But a chart of boxes and lines is just a skeleton. To really bring it to life, you need something called a WBS dictionary. Think of it as the detailed instruction manual for your blueprint. For every single work package, the dictionary tells you everything: what the work is, what tasks are involved, who's doing it, and what done actually looks like. It's what makes the whole thing useful. Okay, so we know what a WBS is and how to build one, but let's get to the good part. Why is this such a game changer when you're actually trying to get things done? Oh, the payoff is huge. First off, because you've defined 100% of the work, scope creep doesn't stand a chance. It gives you a direct link between your schedule, your budget, and the actual work. Plus, your estimates for time and money get way more accurate because you're estimating small, clear tasks instead of one giant, fuzzy goal. It basically gets everyone on the same page, reading from the same playbook. And it's so important to remember that a WBS is not a set it and forget it kind of thing. It's a living, breathing document. At the start of a project, it might be a bit high level, but as you move forward and learn more, you keep refining it, adding more detail. It literally evolves with your project from start to finish. This whole idea scales up pretty impressively too. For huge government projects, you might have a big picture program WBS for the entire thing. Then, a company hired to build, say, just one part, will create its own detailed contract WBS for their piece of the puzzle. It's like having a master blueprint for a skyscraper and then a super detailed blueprint just for the plumbing system. So, let's wrap this up. What's the big takeaway here? What's the one thing you really need to remember from all this? At the end of the day, the work breakdown structure isn't just a chart you hang on a wall. It's a way of thinking. It's a disciplined approach that turns a terrifying mountain of work into a clear path of manageable steps. It truly is the foundation for giving you clarity, control, and ultimately, success on your project. And that's pretty much the whole story. But I want to leave you with a question. This approach isn't just for billion-dollar projects. You could use it to plan a wedding, launch a small business, or even just tackle a big home renovation. So think about it. What's one big goal in your life right now that could use a blueprint for success?